Hello everybody, XRCoon42 here, back at it with another review. This just arrived in the mail today. I've been looking forward to this. I've been waiting over a month for it. Let's get into it. This is the Sonic Models Robinson A5, or 9N if you're a pre-grouping nut. So, first off, the instructions say you run in for 1 hour in each direction, and it tells you how to get into the model for servicing and or DCC fitting, and then it tells you where the various accessories go, and a little bit of an exploded diagram. I've been looking forward to this for ages. Typical blister pack packaging with foam protection. I like that a lot. A lot more manufacturers have been doing that lately, and I really like it. Now we have a detail kit here. There's some fireman's tools in there, some screw link couplings, and your brake rigging. Ooh, and some lamps. That's a nice addition, and vacuum pipes. And now let's get onto the model itself. Ooh, that's beautiful. Look at that. First things first, that finish is gorgeous. Lettering looks a little odd, but other than that, I think this looks amazing. So starting from the front, got the smoke box door handle. The hinges are clearly part of the molding, though they're painted very precisely. Wow. Okay, I really had to look closely to notice that. The handle for the smoke box, the actual handle for the smoke box dart there is part of the molding. But when you look at front, so precisely painted you can't really tell. Not too bad. The chromed handrails are very, very nice. Look at that. Got all these little... I assume these are related to lubrication. There's already a vacuum pipe on the front there. Very nice chromed buffers, which are sprung. When there's a little reverser rod there behind the tank just visible. And I've heard... It's a little bit difficult to see, but I've heard there's valve gear detail behind there as well. The bogie has a decent range of motion. There shouldn't be any problems there. Guard irons on the front of it. Steps. Nice die-cast running plate. The color palette is totally nailed. The lining is all very precise no matter where you look. Very high quality. Separately fitted dome. Very difficult to tell that it's separately fitted, but it is. The top feed, I believe, is part of the boiler molding. Safety valves and whistle, all turned metal. Molded vent for the cab. Those number plates are gorgeous. That. Wow. I like how there's a dip in the middle of the coal load to look like it's been shoveled out a little bit. There we go. You see, little dip in the coal load. The guardrails are, they're plastic, But it does look like the slightest poke could hurt them a little bit. Ooh, dang it. The cab windows are very well lined. The glazing is nice. And around the back you got handrails. Another vacuum pipe. More of these chrome sprung buffers. Huh. One of the handrails is plastic. Creates a very slightly ununiform look. And then more of these steps. The wheels are very, very well lined. Look at that. All this for 150 pounds. A few things could have been done better, but overall the detail is excellent. Given that this has just been freshly unboxed, it will need to be broken in or ran in. So I'm going to go do that right now. And once it's broken in, I will show you how it performs. And welcome back to the table. Now the first thing I need to point out, during the break-in segment, the frontmost driving axle was slightly wobbly. That is a slight issue. As it ran in, the issue was showing less and less. It now shows really only at like the super high speeds. It wobbles a tiny bit around some curves, but it's not anything that's hurting the performance or causing derailments. However, this engine does seem to be very sensitive to uneven track work. I had to straight up unplug my 009 setup from its controller because the point where the wires were passing underneath the track was making this engine derail. So keep that in mind. If your track work is not the best like mine, you might have some derailment issues. However, once I did that, this engine took my track with no problems whatsoever. But as you can see, it does run. It's very smooth. I will now show you its slow speed. And it is now moving. One of the best slow speeds I have ever seen. What an absolutely perfect crawl there. If I turn the control dial much higher than where it's at now, I would be able to crawl it around the whole setup, even over my points, and it wouldn't cut out. And the crawl in reverse. A bit. See. It struggles a little bit in reverse, it would seem. And now we're going to hook it up to some coaches. And see how she does around the track. I do not have any appropriate Great Central coaches. However, when the Hatton's Genesis Great Central coaches come out in December, I will be ordering a set of those. Okay, let's set her rolling. Still crawls under load perfectly fine. I have her coupled up to these beautiful Hornby BR livery Hawksworth coaches because that's what I thought matched the color palette better. Cutting power now. Little bit of the flywheel effect. There is a flywheel on the armature of the motor. Overall, the performance is absolutely solid. So now for final ratings and scores. So, overall this model is excellent. The detail rating gets 4 stars. I wasn't able to show you cab detail during the original detail segment just because the cab is so enclosed. So I took some shots of the cab detail on camera that I will show you. The main issues detail-wise with this were mainly nitpicks, really. But just that, first off, this cab roof vent is not posable. Many other engines we see at this price point have that as a feature, and this doesn't. And second off is that the gauges inside the cab, as you may have seen, were not marked in any way. I can let that one slide a little bit due to the enclosed nature of this particular cab. You're not really going to see it unless you like pointing a camera with a flash in there. But it's still a little bit lacking in that regard. The third reason for only giving it 4 stars detail is that there are some places where like on the rear here, where you have a plastic handrail right next to metal ones and it looks a little bit uncohesive. The third reason is the lettering here looks a little bit washed out. I will show you an image of the real preserved D11, which has recreated this livery on it. And it's significantly more, what's the word, vibrant than this is. So for those reasons, it only gets a 4-star on detail. So overall, pretty good. For quality, I have to also give it 4 stars. For 2 main reasons. 1, the wobbly front axle. Like, I can straight up do that. Like, I can't really do that with many of my other engines. Like, it shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't really show in performance after the running in period, unless I run it super fast. But it still could cause issues down the line. I'll keep you updated on that on my community tab. And the third reason is just that there's a few pieces that I feel should be made of metal given their nature. This handrail for one, and the other one is these coal bunker handguards. Like, these are plastic. Like, if I poke at these the slightest bit, they flex. And the only reason they're not breaking is because the coal's there to stop them. Those really ought to be metal. The performance gets a solid 5 from me. The crawl is absolutely perfect, and every point above the crawl is perfectly smooth and doesn't cut out, like, at all. Excellent. And now for the value for money. This retailed on Rails of Sheffield for £150. I only paid £128 for mine due to my US location being a factor again. The whole, if you live outside the UK, you're exempt from VAT. But even for £150, this is pretty solid. I'm going to call it a 5-star for value, given that the detail is still really, really good, and the performance is absolutely excellent. Do you have one of these? If so, do you agree with my ratings? Let me know down in the comments below. Have a good night.